We live in the information age. We're surrounded by extraordinary intelligence and revolutionary ideas. We've reached a point that even just 30 years ago, in the pre-internet era, no one would have thought possible, or at least not in such a short time. And yet, in this incredible evolutionary process, something seems to have gone terribly wrong, because often it feels like stupidity is winning. From endless, ridiculous social media trends to shocking political decisions, it's hard to escape the feeling that common sense is becoming more and more rare. But what exactly is stupidity? Is it simply a lack of intelligence? Or is there something deeper? In a recent video by Robert Greene, author of The 48 Laws of Power, he explains that what makes people stupid is their absolute certainty that they have all the answers. The stupidest people are always the ones who are convinced they're right from the start. According to Greene, stupidity isn't about raw intelligence. It's a mindset, the unshakable belief that you're right and everyone else is wrong. But how does this certainty show up, and why is it so dangerous? The main problem lies in cognitive rigidity. When you're convinced you have the absolute truth, you shut the door to new information, alternative perspectives, and even objective facts or scientific data. You build your own personal echo chamber, constantly reinforcing your beliefs while rejecting anything that challenges them. This shows up in several ways. Confirmation bias. You actively seek out information that supports what you already believe, while ignoring or minimizing everything else. Emotional reasoning. You let your feelings determine your beliefs instead of relying on logic and evidence. I feel it's true, so it must be true. The Dunning-Kruger effect. The less you know about a topic, the more confident you are in your knowledge, leading to disastrous decisions because you overestimate your ability and underestimate the complexity of the issue. The consequences of this certainty can be devastating, both personally and socially. To see this kind of stupidity, you only have to look around and observe daily absurdities. Whether in online debates or family arguments, you often see people absolutely convinced of their own infallibility, completely unable to listen to others. Greene says that incompetent, stupid people who are blindly convinced of their own ideas can be just as dangerous as evil people. That might sound harsh, but the implications are serious. While evil can be calculated and intentional, stupidity is often blind and unpredictable. An evil leader might cause harm on purpose for personal gain. But a stupid leader can cause even greater damage simply through incompetence and short-sightedness. With an evil leader, you might still be able to reason with them and find solutions. But a stupid leader is usually too dumb to even realize it, making rational dialogue almost impossible. A politician may sincerely believe that a certain policy is good, but because they don't fully understand the issue, they may cause disastrous consequences. Likewise, an incompetent CEO can bring a company to collapse, not out of malice, but because they lack the skills to make wise decisions. To be fair, it's generally easier to find incompetent politicians than incompetent CEOs. To become a CEO, you usually have to prove your skills in the real world. You have to bring a company to a certain level of success before a board of directors will appoint you. On the other hand, any politician who knows how to attract votes through shallow rhetoric can become successful, even while being incompetent, a bit like some YouTube creators. Let's not forget, today, Leonardo da Vinci's vote would count just as much as the vote of any random person. So you don't need to win over brilliant minds to succeed in politics. And look at social networks like Facebook or X, where stupidity reigns supreme. Most of the people who make the most confident, absolute statements are not those who've studied and achieved real results in a field, but rather people who've achieved mediocre results or have zero credentials on the topic, yet still think they're experts because other, even dumber, pseudo-experts agree with them. So how can we fight this insidious form of stupidity? The answer is by embracing uncertainty and developing intellectual humility. The poet John Keats called it negative capability, the ability to hold two contradictory ideas in your mind without rushing to choose one. Keats used Shakespeare as an example, pointing out that his characters are realistic because they're full of contradictions. They're capable of both good and evil, love and hate. They're complex human beings, not simplistic caricatures. In a world that constantly pushes us to oversimplify, negative capability allows us to see nuance. There isn't always one right answer. Truth is often far more complex and ambiguous than we'd like. You can develop this ability through practical exercises in cognitive layering. This means learning to hold multiple possibilities in your mind without immediately reducing them to one certainty, like in quantum physics, where a particle can exist in multiple states at once. Before making an important decision, try listing out all possible scenarios, even the unlikely ones. Weigh the pros and cons, the risks and benefits, and avoid getting emotionally attached to a single outcome. When discussing a topic, try defending the opposite point of view, even if you don't agree with it. Basically, play devil's advocate. This helps expose weaknesses in your own reasoning and better understand other perspectives. One of the most powerful tools to fight stupidity is systematic doubt. This doesn't mean becoming cynical or rejecting all knowledge. It simply means questioning assumptions, analyzing evidence, and seeking verification. And for major decisions, trust science, logic, and those who have studied the subject, not the random functional illiterate who spends all day posting nonsense on Facebook to get likes from others just like him. Ask yourself these 5 key questions. Where does this information come from? Is there evidence supporting this claim? Who benefits if this idea is true? What biases might the source have? Are there alternative viewpoints to consider? By asking these questions, you become a more critical consumer of information and lower your risk of being manipulated by disinformation, whether it comes from the media or your favorite influencer. Stupidity is a universal human weakness. We're all vulnerable to it, but we also have the power to overcome it. By developing intellectual humility, embracing uncertainty, and practicing systematic doubt, we can become smarter, more rational, and more effective in every area of life. Challenge your beliefs, listen to opposing viewpoints, and never stop learning. The future depends on it. Thank you for watching and have a great day.